Welcome students. Students, in the previous class, we were discussing about youth in Nazi Germany, how the youth were given rigorous training to imbibe the Nazi ideology, to follow the principle of Nazism. At the same time, we had also discussed about the Nazi cult of motherhood, where women were not given equal treatment, or there was no equality between women. The women who were giving birth to more children, they were getting proper respect, they were getting concession, they were getting honor crosses. At the same time, those women who were not following Nazi ideology, they were given punishment also. That was we have discussed in the previous period. Today we'll discuss about the art of propaganda. How did the common people react to Nazism and the knowledge about the Holocaust? The art of propaganda in Nazi Germany. The Nazis regime used language and media with a great care. It means during that period of time, they used to describe their various practices, which are not only deceptive but also chilling. Student, deceptive means what? Deceptive means which is not something true, based on truth. And chilling means to create fear. We have seen during the period of Nazi rule, Jews, Gypsies, blacks, the Poles, they were not given proper treatments. They were considered undesirable. So in order to describe their condition, as well as whatever the treatment were given to them, whatever the words were described during this period of time, was not the language what it is being told by you and me at present. There were special terms used for those practices given continued during that period of time, or those treatment whichever it will be given to them during that period of time. There were separate words used for that. Nazi never used the words kill or murder in their official communication. We have seen how the Jews, how the Gypsies were sent to the concentration camp, how they were sent to the gas chamber, how they were killed, but never they have used the word killed or murder. There were special words, special language used for those words kill and murder. Which words were used during that period of time? Let us see. Mass killing were termed special treatment, final solution. That was for the Jews. Mass killing, in the previous class we have discussed, large number of people were sent to the concentration camp as well as gas chamber, and they were killed. But they never used the word kill during the official communication. Rather, they used special language, special words like special treatment, final solution, euthanasia, that was for disabled, and selection and disinfection. These particular words were used in place of the word kill or murder, so that it will not be known to anybody else. During their official languages, official communication, they use such words, so that people, those who are not from the Nazi Germany, they will not get these words properly. They will not understand these words properly. That is why these words were used. Special treatment, final solution, euthanasia, and selection and disinfection. There was a special word used for that, that was evacuation. Meant deporting people to gas chamber, when the people particularly belong to the undesirable categories, when they were sent to the gas chamber, they didn't use the word gas chamber. Rather, they used the word evacuation. That is, deporting people to gas chamber. The gas chambers were called the disinfection area. Sometimes when we are in our daily languages, whatever we are using today, we are telling that gas chamber, killing, murder, but they never use these words. Particularly the gas chambers, according to them, what they were using during that period of time was called as disinfection area. Disinfection area which looked like bathrooms equipped with a fake shower heads. That disinfection area, which was the gas chamber, looks like a bathroom with a fake shower heads, so that it will not be known to the outside world. In such condition, these people were killed or murdered, but they never used the word kill or murder. Media was carefully used to win support for the regime. During that period of time also, all those ideology, Nazi ideology, was propagated with such a care that automatically the people will give support to the Nazi ruler. And people will follow the Nazi ideology also. Nazi ideas were spread through visual images, films, radio, posters, catchy slogans and leaflets. Leaflets were distributed, visual images were circulated, films were made particularly based on Nazi ideology, through radio also it was propagated, and posters were pasted on the wall of the cities so that people will support to Nazi ideology. They will get about the Nazi ideology also. In such a way, media was used during that period of time. In posters, groups identified as the enemies of German were stereotyped, mocked, abused and described as evil. Those who were not supporting the Nazi ideology, those who were going against the Nazi ideology, it means those who were the enemies of Nazi ideology, they were stereotypes, mocked, abused and they were described as evil. And all those pictures were shown in the posters as the enemies of Germany. So that people will go against them. People will go against those enemies who were going against the Nazi ideology. In this way it was propagated. You see how the posters were pasted on the wall of the cities and how the people are looking towards it. So from these posters, the people will go against the people, those who are going against the Nazi ideology. It means from these posters, the ideas of Nazism were circulated, propagated throughout the country. And from the period of childhood, people will start believing towards Nazi ideology. They will adopt in their day-to-day life also. You see, a Nazi poster attacking Jews. It means you see the condition of the Jews, how these people of the Jews categories were depicted in the posters. Here, a Nazi party poster of 1920s. This is an image of a Nazi party poster of 1920s. It asks workers to vote for Hitler. Through this poster, the Nazi party asking the people to vote for Hitler. So in this way, Nazi ideology was propagated during that period of time. Socialists and liberals were represented as weak and degenerate. Socialists and the liberals, those who were the supporter of democracy, they were considered as represented as weak. And They were attacked as malicious foreign agents. Those socialists and liberals who were going against Nazi ideology, they were considered as the foreign agents who were working against the Nazi ideology and working against Germany. They were considered as foreign agents. Likewise, propaganda films were made to create hatred for Jews. Many films were made during that period of time depicting about the importance of Nazi ideology so that people will hate for Jews. And the most infamous film was The Eternal Jews. During that period of time, one of the most infamous film that was The Eternal Jews, which was made by the Nazi rulers to propagate Nazi ideology. Orthodox Jews were stereotyped and marked. Those people, particularly the conservative Jews, were stereotyped and marked. And how they were stereotyped and marked? They were shown with flowing beards, wearing kaftans, whereas in reality, it was difficult to distinguish German Jews by their outward appearances. In the real sense, if you will see the German Jews with the German people, those who are considered as desirable, you will be face problem, or it will be difficult for you to know or to differentiate between Jews and the Nordic Aryans. But these people, particularly the Jews, were shown with flowing beards, wearing kaftans, so that automatically they will be differentiated from the Nordic Aryans. So that such type of pictures were shown to the people so that the people will have a hatred towards the Jews. This was the Nazis' way of propaganda. These people, the Jews, the undesirables, they were referred as vermin, rats and pests. You see, what was their quality? How they were apprehended by the people? They were referred as vermin, rats, pests. It means inferior creatures. Even their movements were compared with those of the rodents, the small mammals which are found. They were considered as the rodents. It means they were totally segregated from the Germans through their physical appearance also, through their behavior also, and through their movement also. You see, their movements were compared to those of rodents. They were considered as vermin, rats and pests. What was the apprehension of the people towards the Jews? You can just imagine from that. Nazism worked on the minds of the people. This was having a feelings towards the Nazi rule that was in the mind of the people, trapped their emotions and torn their hatred and anger at those marked as undesirable. This feeling of Nazism inside the people created a feeling towards the glory of the Germany, so that they will hate Jews and have anger in their mind towards those undesirables. Because undesirables, they were always thought as the inferior creature by the Nordic Aryans. The Nazis made equal efforts to appeal to all the different sections of the population also. Not only they propagated, but also they appealed to the different sections of the society so that they will hate Jews. They sought to win the support of them by suggesting that Nazi alone could solve all their problem. They created an atmosphere. They set up the mind of the people in such a way that people automatically will have a support towards the Nazi ruler. By suggesting that Nazis alone could solve all their problem, no other than that. So what will happen? In this condition, when such propaganda was being made by the Nazi ruler, people automatically will have a support towards the Nazi rule. That is why they were working in that direction, to create the support of the people, by suggesting that Nazi alone could solve all their problems. You see, this was the section of the society who were having support towards the Nazi rule. But students, are you thinking all the people of Germany, they were having support towards the Nazi rule? If not, then what was the reaction of the people towards Nazism? Let us see about this. Many people saw the world through the Nazi eyes, spoke their mind in Nazi languages. It means many of the people during that period of time, they were following Nazism or Nazi ideology. And even they were speaking in that languages also. What was the mindset of the people? Was the mindset of the Nazi rule. It was same. But it was not all the people, those who were having support towards Nazism. Some section of the society, they were having support because they felt hatred and anger surge inside them when they saw someone who looked like a Jew. Those people who were supporting Nazism, even if sometimes coming across the way, if they saw anybody else Jews, automatically anger surged inside them and they started hating towards them also. This was the condition. That is why I told you, many people saw the world through Nazi eyes and spoke their mind in Nazi languages. They marked the houses of Jews and reported suspicious neighbors. The houses of the Jews were also marked with as a suspicious neighbors, because they genuinely believed that Nazism would bring prosperity and improve general well-being. It means these supporters, they were having a concept in their mind, they are feeling in their mind, or you can say they have set up their mind in such a way that they were always thinking that prosperity and improvement of the people can only be brought by the Nazi rulers, no one else than that. But this was not the concept of all Germans. All the people of Germany, they were not thinking like that. Even many people were there, they organized active resistance to Nazism, braving police repression also, and many people died going against Nazi ruler also. They spoke against the Nazi rulers. They resisted. Even they were harassed by the police person also, and many of them killed also. The large majority of Germans, however, were passive onlookers and apathetic witness. Many of them, they resisted, they went against the Nazism and they were killed also. But large section of the society, those who were there, even if they were going against the Nazi ruler, still they had never dared to go so. Like that, they remained silent onlookers and apathetic witness only. They were scaring to act, to differ, to protest. They were thinking that Nazism was not following by the people in a proper manner. Rather, they thought that people were creating disturbance in the society by killing a large number of Jews, gypsies and the so-called undesirables. But even if this was their thinking, but they never dared to go against them. Rather, they preferred to look away. Pastor Niemöller, a passive resistance, a fighter, observed an absence of protest, an uncanny silence. He was a protester. He had protested against the Nazism. But a remain silent letterer, a passive resistance, a fighter, and observed an absence of protest, an uncanny silence amongst ordinary Germans in the face of brutal and organized crimes committed against the people in the Nazi Empire. Though Nazi rulers, they were committing crime against the humanity, but still many of them were passive onlookers. Following this, Pastor Niemöller, he wrote movingly about the silence. What he has written? You see, first they came for the communist. Well, I was not a communist, so I said nothing. Then they came for the social democrats. Well, I was not a social democrat, so I did nothing. Then they came for the trade unionist, but I was not a trade unionist. And then they came for the Jews, but I was not a Jew, so I did little. Then when they came for me, there was no one left who could stand up for me. This was the languages used by Pastor Niemöller to depict the condition of the people, those who were unable to go against the Nazi ruler, against the humanity, against the atrocities committed by the Nazi ruler. So, he penned down his feeling in the form of these writings. Like that, Charlotte Butt secretly recorded people's dream in her diary. He asked the people about their feeling against the Nazi ruler, and he recorded everything in the diary, but it was secretly, so that no people will get the idea about this. Because if anyone will get this idea, he or she will be hanged later on. This was sure. That is why he secretly recorded all the dreams of the people, those who were there going against the Nazi ruler. And later on, she published this book called Third Rise of Dream. This was the book written by Charlotte Butt. You see the image of that book? The Third Rise of Dreams. In this book, she has described how Jews themselves began believing in the Nazi stereotypes about them. Because out of fear or the atrocities being committed by the Nazis over the Jews themselves have felt that they are the part of the Nazi stereotypes. They dreamed of their hooked noses, black hair and eyes, Jewish look and body movement. So people of the Jewish category, they started feeling themselves like that. They dreamed about themselves, about their hooked nose, black hair and eyes, which were depicted in the posters, which were propagated through radios, films, leaflets. This started coming in the dream of the Jewish people also. The stereotypical image publicized in Nazi press haunted the Jews. These images, what they started dreaming, also publicized in the press. And these troubled them even in their dreams. It means before death, Jews died many deaths. It means though they had not got the death punishment, though they were not being killed by the Nazis, still inside their heart and mind they were having many deaths. Because they always started dreaming about their own physical features, which were being depicted by the Nazi ruler through the posters, leaflets and films. Now, students will discuss about the knowledge of Holocaust. Information about the Nazi practices had trickled out of the Germany during the last year of the regime. Whatever the atrocities were committed over the Jews, gypsies, or the so-called undesirables, or whatever the practices being followed by the Nazi rulers, it was out of the world. It means it was not in the knowledge of the people outside Germany. But later on, it trickled out of Germany during the last year of the regime. But it was only after the war ended and Germany was defeated that the world came to realize the horrors of what had happened. No one had the idea what was happening in Nazi Germany. But after the end of the World War, the world came to know what was happening in Nazi Germany under the Nazi ruler. While the Germans were preoccupied with their own plight as a defeated nation emerging out of the rubble, the Jews wanted that the whole world should know about the atrocities and the sufferings of the Jews in the hand of the Nazi ruler. The way they were subjected to segregation, humiliation, and killing under the Nazi operation, that thing the whole world must know. This was the feeling of the Jews to the world. They wanted the whole world should know about the Nazi killing operation. That is the Holocaust. What is the killing operation? You see the image, how the people of the Jews category or the undesirable category, you can say, they were deported to the gas chamber through these 5 freight cars. You see the image of the piles of suits that had been taken out before sending the people to the gas chamber. The piles of clothes outside the gas chamber. And you see the image where a large number of people were killed and sent out of the cities from the concentration camps, or you can say the gas chambers. This was the Nazi killing operation, the Holocaust. And this thing the whole world should know. At its height, a ghetto inhabitant had said to another that he wanted to be able to tell the world about what had happened in Nazi Germany. People, those who are in ghettos, they started talking with one another and they started to tell the world, to inform the world that the whole world should know what had happened in the Nazi Germany. This was the feeling of the Jews category, particularly after the end of the World War II. With the defeat of Germany, the Jews started feeling themselves uplifted because they wanted to tell the whole world that the whole world should know about the repression, the sufferings in the hand of the Nazi rulers. Thus, indomitable spirit to bear witness and to preserve the documents can be seen in many ghettos. Many of the inhabitants of the ghettos had kept diaries, notebooks, and created archives depicting about the life of the Jews in the hand of the Nazi ruler. In those diaries, notebooks, they have depicted about their story, the condition of the Jews in the Nazi Germany. And now, after the end of the World War II, the Jews wanted to show the whole world. Let the world know what was happening in Nazi Germany. And this is through these diaries and notebooks and these archives. On the other hand, when the war seemed lost, the Nazi ruler get to know that they are in the verge of defeat. At that time, the Nazi leadership distributed petrol to its functionaries. Do you know what to do with this petrol? Distributed petrol to its functionary to destroy all the evidence whatever existed in the office, so that the world will not get to know about what was happening in Nazi rule. This was the thinking of the Nazi leaders because they don't want to disclose in front of the world. You see, inhabitants of the Warsaw Ghetto, this is a bowl where many of the diaries, notebooks, and archives were kept. And after the end of the World War, it was came to the knowledge of the people throughout the world through this bowl. Yet the history and the memory of the Holocaust live on in memoirs, fiction, documentaries, poetries, memorials, and museums in many parts of the world today. The sufferings of the people, particularly the undesirable, now it is in the memoir, in the fiction, in the documentaries, poetry, memorials, and museums. So that today the whole world has got to know what was happening during the Nazi rule. And because of this diary, notebooks which were found in the ghettos. Students, today we have completed these chapters, and through this we have got to know how the people, particularly the undesirables, were repressed, suppressed, humiliated, and large number of people were killed also. This was the sufferings, unending sufferings of the Jews in the hand of the Nazi rule. With this, today we have completed this chapter. Students, before completing this class, I will just ask you some questions regarding today's discussion to test your knowledge. The first question in front of you is, name the book written by Charlotte Butt. The name of the book written by Charlotte Butt was The Third Reach of Dreams. The Third Reach of Dreams. The next question, what were the Holocaust? The Nazi killing operation were called Holocaust. Nazi killing operation, that is your sending the people in the gas chambers and concentration camps, all these killing operations during the Nazi period were called as Holocaust. Now the last question for you. What did the term evacuation mean? What did the term evacuation mean? The gas chambers were called disinfection areas. They looked like bathroom fitted with fake shower heads. And sending the people to this gas chamber were called as evacuation. Students, with these questions, today we have completed the chapters. I hope you must have enjoyed with the discussion regarding the youth, regarding the Nazi cult of motherhood. With this chapter came to an end. Thank you.